using the video game as a tool to create entertainment that people already want. So using it to create moments of raw moments of camaraderie or trash talking, competitiveness, rivalries, debate, like that's what we use the game for.
Welcome to the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we unpack the messy, beautiful intersection of creativity and business with the artists, marketers, and founders shaping our culture. Hey friends, I'm Carl, founder of Epic Made, and I'm the host of the Pixel Retentive Podcast, where we share our thoughts on creativity, art, and business. Past guests include Mario Kroll of Uber Strategist, Anthony Depula of BMP Creative, and Debbie Millman, designer, author, and host of the Design Matters podcast. I'm forever grateful for the supporters of our podcast, and we are always open to more sponsors that align with our creativity. That said, Pixel Retentive is brought to you by the creative gurus at Epic Made. Epic Made is a creative studio that produces entertainment quality animation and illustration for brands that want to stand out in gaming, entertainment, and tech. We help companies tell stories that resonate with an imaginative audiences and turn viewers into fandom. Whether your brand needs creative strategy, an exciting trailer, a fully animated series, or some engaging motion graphics, we got you covered. Visit epicmade.net. Let's collaborate on your next creative campaign. All right. So with us today, we have Andrew Perlmutter. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Nice to be here, Carl.
Super pumped to have you. You and I have known each other for 2-3 years now, 2 years, something like that. And just excited to pick your brain a little bit because you have some really cool takes on some things. So Andrew is the CEO of NBA Take-Two Media, a modern sports entertainment company launched by the NBA and Take-Two Interactive. He is leading the transformation of the NBA 2K League into a culture-first platform that blends competitive gaming, creator-led content, original programming, and live experiences to bring fans and players closer together. A longtime media and digital strategist, Andrew specializes in building entertainment businesses that sit at the intersection of sports, storytelling, and cultural participation. Under his leadership, NBA T2 has launched properties including NBA R&D, an open ladder tournament called NextFanUp with over 100,000 signups and 60 million minutes played, the Showdown, a YouTube native 2K series, and Nomad, an original series led by Joakim Noah, exploring how basketball connects cultures globally. Sounds like a lot of fun you've been having there, Andrew.
I was a basketball player in undergrad. I wanted to be a filmmaker in undergrad. This business blends both of those passions together. I'm basically building a product for 17-year-old me. That's how I think about what NBA Take-Two is. If I were a 17-year-old basketball obsessed, pop culture obsessed kid today, what would I want in my life from the NBA and Take-Two? And the idea is to create that.
I love that. Having a very clear audience right out the gate, even if it's this version of yourself, is always so helpful in wayfinding when you're building something, especially from scratch with all these different things that you're trying to collaborate and making a new thing. So I love that. But before we get into the show a little deeper, I would like for the audience to get to know you a little bit better. So how long have you been in your industry, and maybe even what do you consider your industry, and what project are you most proud of so far?
Mm-hmm. Broadly speaking, I've been in digital media and entertainment since 2011. I founded a magazine in undergrad. I made a documentary in undergrad. Those are kind of minor league projects. So I won't go all the way back then. And I've had a really entrepreneurial career in media and entertainment. Out of grad school, I persuaded the owner of The Atlantic and a few other publications that I could help his team incubate a new business. And the basic idea was, if you were launching The Economist in 2010 rather than 1840, your product would look very different. You'd have a mobile first. You'd have a mobile first product rather than a print magazine, and you'd cover the global economy very, very differently. And that became a business news site called Quartz, which was a digital media darling for a little while. So I became young guy who could build new digital products for legacy publishing businesses, and that really set me off in the world of media, entertainment, and tech. I've always been most excited about creating really high quality storytelling products that fit the way people want to consume in a contemporary environment, whether that was web apps in the Web 2.0 era during the early 2010s, or today with NBA Take Two, a very different social first participatory environment where there are so many different ways for consumers to express their love of and participation in the kind of storytelling and creativity they love. The project that I am most proud of, that's a good question. When I was 21, starting my magazine, the idea for my magazine was a version of the New Yorker, but for the Princeton campus community. I went to Princeton, and I convinced the leading conservative professor at Princeton, a man named Robert George, and the leading liberal professor at Princeton, a guy named Cornel West, to engage in a dialogue for 30 minutes. It was going to be at the center of the magazine.
Wow.
They both allocated 30 minutes, and I had some questions to prompt them. And it was me, the two of them, and a photographer. 4 hours later, they were still talking. They had to leave because one of their wives required them home for dinner. They
That's how it goes. Yeah.
they realized that they ought to spend more time together. They subsequently became best friends, started teaching a seminar together, and have since set up this two-man speaking engagement roadshow where they'll go to colleges, they'll speak at conferences, and they model what a dialogue between people from different ends of the ideological spectrum can have in a really constructive, high trust way. And it was really early it was sort of before my career in media and entertainment started, but it shows the power of conversation. It shows the power of storytelling, and it changed the lives of these two really important professors in a material way. And it showed me the power of what I could create if I, thought about if I built the right product, the right storytelling vehicle. So that had a really big impact on my desire to be at the intersection of creativity and business. I think more recently, while at the Boston Globe, I ran the business side of the Boston Globe. We incubated a new business that became Stat News, and the basic idea at the Globe was, what new digital journalistic product did the Globe have license to create? And the Globe was the preeminent journalistic institution and this was around 2015. The Globe was and still is the preeminent journalistic institution in Boston. And I realized, or we as a team realized then, that life sciences and biotech was a field that didn't have a Politico-like trade publication, and that Boston was the epicenter of both of those industries. And as the preeminent journalistic institution in Boston, the Globe had permission to build something like that, and that became a digital news and commentary platform called Stat News. Really, the vision of the executive editor we hired, Rick Burke, who's run it for over a decade, and it's become a really vital resource for life sciences and healthcare and biotech journalism and convening. And another example of how you can use creativity to build products that are meaningful. And here at NBA T2, I am very proud of the Joakim Noah show that we've built. It's a bit like an Anthony Bourdain style travel show, except Joakim learns about cultures around the world and about himself through basketball as a lens. As a basketball player, as a kid, I learned that basketball wasn't just a game. It was a lifestyle. It told me what shoes to wear. It told me what music to listen to. And it gives you a language that you can use to speak with other people from many different walks of life. And basketball has only become more and more of a lingua franca, more and more of a epicenter of culture over the past 30 years. And that lingua franca is what Joakim Noah uses to learn about Serbia and Jamaica and Morocco. And we have episodes in Seoul and Tokyo coming up. So I gave you more than one example, but that's what comes to mind.
I mean, fantastic examples. I was just soaking that up. I mean, so many amazing things there. I mean, on the first part of that, just talking about what you did with Cornell West, I missed the other professor's name, but like, that's amazing. And like, you're literally like, everything you're saying is just sort of, you're influencing culture, right? You're like creating that collision because you had this idea and what would that be like? And then them spinning off and making this friendship and producing all these, different shows and putting this stuff out there. Like, that's the ripple effects on that are enormous, Andrew. That's really amazing. And I've seen, Cornell West speak many times on many different things, and the man's got some amazing ideas. And I love the idea of him being paired with someone like equally of the opposite mindset, but also intelligent of intelligence and coming to in the middle. That's the sort of healing we need in this country right now, especially. And it's only really gotten worse over the past, however long, but that conversation, those types of conversations need to be had, and finding that middle ground is how we make progress versus just fight each other all the time. So I love that you're so deeply ingrained in these cultural shifts. And, you and I have talked a lot about what you're doing over at NBA T2 and like, and again, the lens of basketball and that, how that influences culture so much. And like, all the musicians that show up and the famous people and all the different people that are making culture. And I see you like trying to get that lightning in a bottle, like all the ways that you can and put that out there. So I love that. And so you've described this as a culture first platform and not just an esports league. What does that actually mean to you in practice? And how does that change the way that like you build your content and are pulling a community together?
Thank you for the flattering words. I will soak them up myself. The conservative professor, his name is Robert George, or Robbie George. Esports is, to answer your question, esports is really about the very best players of a video game competing against each other for to determine who the best is. It's a version of hyper competitive pro sports, and there is a place for esports in the gaming universe, and every video game title is a little different. The culture around each video game determines how powerful esports can be. What a culture first approach means to me is, instead of focusing on who the very best 2K player in the world is, it's using competitive 2K to bring out entertainment and storytelling that everyone can resonate with. So one thing that is very special about the video game is that half of the NBA players today are active registered 2K gamers. They grew up playing 2K. They love it. And the game disarms them and tricks them into being themselves in the best possible way. It's sort of like the hot wing and hot ones. So when someone goes on that show, they're a celebrity and they're planning to give like pre-wired answers, canned answers. But then all of a sudden, a hot wing is burning a hole through their tongue and they're choking and laughing, and they're real selves. And that's what we, the consumer, want. We want to see who our heroes are as real people. And the video game does the same thing for NBA players and the celebrities who love it. So using the video game as a tool to create entertainment that people already want. So using it to create moments of raw moments of camaraderie or trash talking, competitiveness, rivalries, debate, like that's what we use the game for. And what's great about that lens is any 2K gamer, any basketball fan can feel like they are participating alongside the celebrities, the heroes. And we've created the open competition platform, NextFanUp, so that regular people can affiliate with their favorite NBA teams. And as they play more 2K and rise a leaderboard, we actually pluck users out of that tournament, out of that open competition platform, and put them in programming with the NBA players. So we really like are stitching together an ecosystem that is focused on entertainment value and storytelling that connects with anyone, and we really want to put the regular users in directly in touch with the celebrities real time to build something that feels truly participatory.
I mean, that has to feel magical to be on the fan side of that, right? On the like, hey, I love this game. I've been playing and I'm so good at it, and now I've just gotten selected to actually play with my favorite athlete, whoever. Like, I'm ashamed to admit I don't really follow a lot of all the NBA names that came to mind were like Shaq, Kobe, Michael Jordan. Like, none of them play anymore. But like, but yeah, that's got to be magical. So I mean, and NextFanUp, you've opened that up to over 100,000 fans now. What did we say earlier? We had like 60 million minutes played. Like,
yep.
What have you learned about your audience from that kind of format that you could have never learned from traditional broadcast or any other way of doing this?
Well, one of the aspects of gaming that is really powerful is the user is directly participating in the activity. It is an active engagement. Watching a broadcast is a passive engagement. And if you're running a broadcast product, you don't know what your fan is doing or thinking while they are engaging in the product. Most users now have a second screen up while a broadcast is going on, and they're on Instagram, or they're checking their email, or they're on some app. And if you're the broadcaster, you don't really know what they're doing. When you're the video game publisher, like, you can track everything that your users are doing in your ecosystem. So when we set up NextFanUp as a platform, and we direct users to participate in the platform, we know exactly what they're doing in 2K. We know what modes of the game they're using, whether it's 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. We know which areas of the 2K universe they're playing in. We know what cohort of 2K user they are. X percent of, like, most of the NextFanUp users are amongst the sort of highest usage cohorts of 2K. So we know that our product appeals right now to the most dedicated 2K users, and it allows us to make programming and product iteration based on actual user, like, activity.
Mm.
And that's really powerful. And, like, once you have users actively participating in something, it becomes much easier to guide them to other, like, actions and activities. And I think that's the power of an interactive platform. And that's the power of, it's also underneath everything, the power of first party data. Like, if you have an app or an email newsletter that users are engaging in directly, you are tracking them. You own the engagement in a way that is maximally powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and data is everything when you're trying to, because everything sort of starts off as a hypothesis, right? Like, we're sciencing these things, especially in the marketing and advertising world. So it's like, when you can get concrete data that takes that guesswork out, right, and literally allows you to iterate and build on, that's very, very powerful. And I think there's a deeply human side to this that's super successful. That can also be hard to quantify. I think, the ripple effects that and brand loyalty that you build, plucking fans from the ether and giving them an unforgettable, incredible, like, oh my God, I got to play video games with my idol. Like, that is absolutely magical. They will never forget that. The type of loyalty you build doing those types of things, like, you can't do that any other way. Like, that's really, really special. And that got me thinking, like, I'm curious, what is, like, some of the most special moments you saw come up in this, 100,000 fans competing against their idols and playing video games? Was there any cool stories that came up in there?
I mean, we have hundreds of examples of users taking to social media to share a photo or a video of their success in the platform, and only a select few got to participate in the actual programming, but they're sharing photos and videos. And you're absolutely right, it makes them the highest loyalty users, fans that we have, and they proactively share the product, share the story without us asking them to do any of it. Like, to your point, you build fans for life. One user, one user actually created his own rap song about the new 2K League and posted it on Instagram. I forget the user's name. I enjoyed that one.
I love that. Oh, maybe we can figure out what his username is, and we'll drop it in the show notes. That's amazing. I'd love to see that. So again, you're building these really strong community bonds and getting people really excited because they're able to engage now with things they love on a deeper, more meaningful level than anything before. So, I mean, your vision on that is absolutely incredible, and the fact that you've been able to pull this off and make it come together is amazing. And I'm loving learning more and more about this. And this the Showdown YouTube native so that's the Nomad travel documentary. Are those two separate
Yep.
things?
Yep.
That's one thing.
Nomad is the Joakim Noah travel show. Showdown is a 2K focused show where it's sort of like a fight night where we have three 2K matchups over the course of a show, culminating in a headline match between two NBA players where there is some built-in camaraderie or rivalry. And
Okay.
the goal, and we're still early. We are 6 months into having launched the actual product. So all of this, everything that I'm talking about is subject to lots of iteration as we continue to learn what works and what doesn't work. I always say one of the best things about working on the web is the web gives you data on what's working and not working to inform, what comes next. It doesn't replace great creative instincts
No.
or developing a clear voice point of view for your brand, for lack of a better word. But it does tell you where there's engagement. It does tell you where there's passion. It does tell you where there's scale of audience. So you get the benefit of seeing that feedback real time and baking it into what comes next. So Showdown captures the energy of a fight night, and the goal is to get our NBA player and celebrity participants to trash talk with each other in the run up to the fight in the same way that you'd see in a fight, a marquee fight. And then the loser of the Showdown has to do something silly that we then put up on social to give it a tail life on the other hand. And one thing we've learned is NBA players, celebrities, creators, they love having fun, competitive, like sort of low stakes, competitive activity to participate in. They like trash talking. They want their off court personalities to shine through. And this is a platform that's perfect for that. And that competitive spirit translates really well in storytelling. And so we've done a couple of showdowns. One was headlined by Lonzo Ball playing against his brother LiAngelo, and another was headlined by two rookie teammates on the New Orleans Pelicans, Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears. Both had a sort of an array of really fun viral moments, and we're really blowing out that series starting in May at a much greater scale.
I love the idea, and I think the idea that fans get to enjoy their favorite athletes in a different way and get to see another layer of them and their off-court persona and them just being as human beings. I'm
Yep.
sure you can just relate to them, like, oh, this is what me and my friends are like when we play 2K. And there isn't a single person in the NBA that's not extremely competitive, right? So if you put two of them in any environment, they're going to still be competitive. Like, you didn't get to be in the NBA not being competitive. Like, that's the top of the cream of the crop, right? So yeah.
Well, that by the way, what you said is one of the core insights. And what you said was, that's what I'm like with my friends. The way you are on the couch while playing 2K with your friends, the competitiveness, whatever you're talking about. 2K users are huge basketball culture fans, so they're talking about the NBA playoffs, or they're talking about the latest shoe drop, or they're talking about what happened at Coachella. That's what 2K users are talking about on the couch. That's what NBA players are talking about on the couch, with the same fun camaraderie, trash talking, competitiveness. And when you capture that with NBA players, it resonates with the users. I think you haven't asked me this directly, but this has always been true, but it is, I think, even more powerfully true today, which is the feeling of participation, the sense that you can participate in the IP that you love, the sense that there is a community that you get to participate with. That is more important today, I think, than it's ever been. We've had that with sports teams forever. Like, you go to the stadium and you feel like you are participating in the team's success or failure. But now, given the fact that like anyone can build their own podcast, anyone can be an influencer, given the fact that AI makes it easy for anyone to be an animator or a creator, anyone could start a blog. The idea of participating in and co-creating the brands or the storytelling or the content that you love, that is more important for us now than ever. You know, one of the reasons why the Harry Potter ecosystem is so strong is that you can go have Harry Potter experiences. You can go to the retail store and feel like you are, in Diagon Alley, and you can go to the theme park, or you can go to the show, or you can join a Harry Potter Reddit thread and talk about the ins and outs of the new show that's coming out on HBO. Like, you can live a Harry Potter life. You can feel like you're co-creating or participating in it. And I think if you're whether you are an apparel brand or a graphic novel title, or honestly, even a software product, you need your user base to feel like they are participating in the creation of the product with you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Disney's done this forever, right? Like, that's the core of how they just own and push their license and build their things. Like, it's very rare even now that Disney creates a unique thing from scratch. Like, they just find successful things, buy it, and then apply their knowledge of what you just said to like build entire, fandoms and ecosystems around things, or build upon what's already there in most cases. I've seen some really amazing stuff around the idea of this building different brands this way is just powerful. And Apple did the same thing too as a technology company. You mentioned that, like, some people don't think about that, but it's like, when you consume this product, you are saying a lot of things about yourself, and you feel like you get to interact, and like there's this magic there. So it's definitely, I've seen it work many places. So you have this other product that we talked about a bit, Nomad. And I think that this is really cool because I love the idea that the lens of seeing things through basketball and connecting that basketball is this international sport that everybody loves. And here's this international superstar going to different places and different exploring and understanding and learning their culture, and having that shared love of basketball to do that through. That's really cool too. And I think that allows, maybe some of the audience of the NBA that maybe aren't as worldly or haven't explored that much to like see things through a lens that they can understand and relate to as well. And what a global, powerful community building idea there. I'd love to unpack that a little more.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, when I was a kid, I was a basketball player, and it taught me that basketball wasn't just a game, it was a lifestyle. Basketball tells you, or told me, what shoes to wear, what music to listen to. And I think basketball is more connective tissue in pop culture now than it ever has been. Kicks as a category come from basketball shoes.
For
It
sure.
like NBA players are pop stars. Like their relationships are celebrity relationships that are tracked by the tabloids. Basketball is interwoven in hip hop. Basketball is interwoven in streetwear. Basketball is increasingly interwoven in high fashion. And the basic idea is for the kind of program we can do is if you treat basketball as a doorway to all of these other passion points and our emotional lives, be it friendships or family or drama or comedy, it enables us to create programming that can resonate with many people who don't even care what happens on a basketball court.
Right.
And Joakim is a really tall, famous person. And when he travels so we did an episode in Serbia, and he wanted to go to Serbia because he wanted to understand why Serbian basketball players are so friggin' tough. And
It's because they grew up in Serbia.
wow,
But
yeah, but that's what he learns. Don't give it away. But
spoiler alert. Yeah.
because they love basketball, he's known in Serbia, and
Mm.
because people who love basketball have a common language, he's able to have interesting conversations with street vendors, with famous basketball players, with famous musicians, and he learns about the Serbian concept inat, which is I think best expressed as a resilience and defiance in the face of impossible odds. And that is core to the Serbian people, and it is core to Serbian basketball players. And while he's there, he observes it and participates in it. And it's his status as a really famous basketball player that gives him access to the country, but it's his unique set of traits as someone who is innately curious, adventurous, and has really like this high EQ and ability to connect with anyone that enables him to actually sort of tease out these learnings and have really interesting, thoughtful conversations. So this episode, you don't have to know anything about basketball
Right.
to like appreciate the personal journey and cross-cultural journey that Joakim is going on. I'll give you a sillier example. NBA tunnel fits have become high fashion, and there are many Instagram accounts that simply like track who's wearing, like what NBA players are wearing into the arena. We have a little short form show called "Is It Fashionable or Is He Just Tall?" where we have a guy on our team who's 5'8" wear the same outfit as an NBA player who's 6'8" or taller, and we have them in the room together. And if it looks good on our 5'8" guy, then the outfit's fashionable. If it doesn't look good, then the NBA player is just tall. And that show, you don't have to know anything about whether Karl Anthony Towns had a great game or a bad game. Like seeing him in an outfit and our guy Andy in the same outfit, and them evaluating whether Andy looks good in the outfit, it uses the NBA player, like it's NBA player status as a pop star and a fashion plate that allows us to do a really fun fashion concept that appeals to people regardless of whether they're Knicks fans and know what Cat's game is like on the court.
I love it. I think the thing I keep hearing in all of this is like you're taking these people that are larger than life, that seem just like like demigods of humanity, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
we're bringing them down to like a human level and making them relatable across all these different platforms so that people can feel like they're a part of this community with them, and not that like they're just worshiping at them. And that always happens
Yep.
in this, and I don't know if it's worship as much as like admiration. Maybe it's inspiration. Maybe it's like, maybe, I'm sure every famous basketball player was inspired by the generation before them to become the famous basketball players of today. And paying that forward through this community building is really beautiful. So I love all the ways that you guys are doing this, and it feels so deeply human and intentionally crafted. So kudos on that. And I think, something that keeps popping in my head here is that, like, you've got all these different platforms and you're doing all these different things. And as a branding strategist and a person that does these types of storytelling in different fashions and different industries myself, like, how do you identify, each of the forms of your content, and make sure that, like, everything's coherent, even though they can seemingly be different worlds, right? Like, so how do you make sure
Mhm.
all of it threads together in a way that doesn't feel like, oh, these are just a bunch of random different basketball shows, or
Yeah,
basketball adjacent shows?
yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is a distinctive point of view, a distinctive perspective across the different platforms, and um, every expression of the product winds up being really important. Uh, and a show like Nomad has to have its own point of view. Uh, but it will sit alongside, like we're making other shows. It will sit along other shows that feel like they belong in the same sort of family as Nomad. I think HBO is a great sort of the sort of best in class version of this. Sex in the City was a 30-minute comedy. The Sopranos was a 60-minute uh, drama. They had very different points of view. They felt very different. I mean, and The Wire, yet again, like a completely different sort of drama, looking at the way the layers of a city fit together, drugs, education, politics. They all belonged on HBO. Like
Right.
you felt like they all fit this is sort of premium uh uh narrative, uh thematically nuanced storytelling, like sort of 30 to 60-minute storytelling universe. So like we need to across multiple shows uh make NBA T2 synonymous with the kind of um, cross category genre remixing, peeling the layers back. Like I like to say, you want to learn something new about a person, a place, a culture, where basketball is a core element. Like that's what we want to do with our long form programming, with our gaming programming. We want to bring players and fans closer together, where the game is a central element in something more human. So we like each, like the 2K gaming oriented programming and the more cultural oriented programming have their own sort of separate like points of view. So I guess you'd say in a way that's a house of brands, a burgeoning house of brands strategy. We still need to figure out how it all laces together as the products succeed.
Yeah, I love it, and I think you're doing it from the high level. And I think even on the gaming side, you're still doing that. Like, you're learning things about these people by seeing them
Yes.
in a new light in a different setting than you're used to seeing them, and thus seeing like, oh, well, when so and so gets in these situations, they always talk shit like this, or he gets when he loses at that thing. So I think there's a layer in there still where it still threads across,
That's right.
even though it's just sort of manifest a little different. So that's cool. That's a really good answer to that question. So, how do you how do you so as you're building this, uh, and you've been scaling this up over the past few years and layering in new things, like what's your process as you bring in people to help support this? Like, there's got to be like a lot of like you got to keep the integrity of the brand together. And as you scale, there's a lot of different things. I know you have a big network and obviously tied into 2K and the NBA, but like, what does that look like for you when you're trying to find the right people to help you execute things? Because obviously, as the CEO, you can't do everything, and it's your job to lead, not to do. So yeah.
I think about that all the time. As the CEO, my job when it comes to the creative is setting the sandbox that we want to play in, setting the sort of principles for the kind of programming that we want to create. So to give you a couple of examples, I generally believe that remixing genres leads to the freshest, most interesting culture. So I always want to be combining genres or formats in unexpected ways. Obviously, basketball needs to be a constitutive element. 2K, for anything with 2K in it, needs to be a constitutive element. I want it to have a distinctive point of view. So when we were building our short form programming, I challenged the team to come up with a point of view that feels distinctive, where there isn't any other brand or media operation that feels similarly. And then I want to learn something about a person, a place, a culture that's unexpected. And within that sandbox, my sort of guidance is to be as creative as possible, but to turn concepts into the best versions of themselves. Like there is a subjective sort of quality bar that I think I need to enforce, like as we're sort of being wacky and creative. Want to experiment. I want to learn from each experiment. So if we take a swing and it doesn't work, the next idea needs to show that we've learned something from the first experiment. Like I like that, like the need to continually learn, the need to fit our creative sort of reason for being. Those are standards, like, for me to enforce. Whether any one show, program, video hits or doesn't hit, that's not like my goal is to build guidelines and processes that give us the best chance of creating something that really resonates. And then with people, I think this is a really fun, exciting, unique product to build. We need people who feel the same way. Like, we need people who wake up excited to invent new things in this basketball meets gaming meets culture universe. And, not everyone on the team makes the creative product. We have people who are editors. We have folks who book talent. But in a startup, one thing that's true across everyone is they have to care deeply about it, and they have to be A players. Like, when you're small, every individual on the team has an outsized impact on outcomes. So if you're not excellent, you have a negative impact on the business. And we define excellence on a role by role
Of course.
basis. And I like I'm sure you know this in your business. Hiring great people is hard, and it is, I think, the hardest thing to do as a CEO. You've got to make sure that the people who are working for you, who are doing the hiring, have standards that are as high as yours
Yeah.
for who becomes part of the team.
100%. Yeah, and the hiring part is the hardest. But when you do it right, it makes all the difference. And I definitely agree. Like, the smaller your team is, the more important it is that everybody punches way above their weight class, and then you have a level of excellence, galvanized into the team. But when you do that, that's really when the magic happens, and you can see some amazing things come together. So, well, Andrew, this has been quite a fun conversation, getting into some really cool stuff, and it flew by really fast. So we are coming up on time. Before we wrap, I do have one last question for you, though. Is there anyone or anything in your career that you would like to shout out to the audience? Maybe a mentor, a valuable resource, a favorite client?
Sure. One of my board members, Strauss Zelnick, he's the CEO of Take-Two Interactive. I've known him for about 20 years, and he has always been incredibly supportive. He gave me guidance in prior jobs when he had no affiliation with what I was doing, and has become really a friend over the years, and ultimately is one of the main reasons why I've had the opportunity to be in this seat and invent something new. And I had no idea when I was 20, in my early 20s, and first met him, that it would lead to this. So for anyone listening who's in the middle of an interesting career, a bit of advice is your relationships, your network. If you build relationships because they are interesting and rewarding, they can play out in so many ways that you can't possibly predict when you first make them. Like, life is long. Life is an infinite game, and there are so many different stops along the way where someone can play a role that you wouldn't have anticipated, and Strauss certainly has done that consistently for me. So shout out to Strauss.
Love it. Shout out to Strauss. And also a big thank you to Fred Seibert, who connected us, the legendary Fred Seibert, who's been on the podcast now a couple times. So thanks to him.
Shout out to Fred. Yes.
Yeah, Fred's incredible. All right. So yeah, we've been chatting with Andrew Perlmutter. You can check him out at nbat2.com. But if listeners want to follow up with you directly, where should they go?
They should email me at actually they should email. Who should we have them email? They should email yeah. Let's have them follow up with Noel. Noel, what how do you want to do this? Okay. Yeah,
At what?
I mean,
Darius? All right. And just so we can cut that real smooth, I'm going to ask you that again, and then you can just throw that out there. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. If viewers want to follow up with you directly, Andrew, where should they go?
They should email us at nbat2@derris, derris.com.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for being on the show. This was a lot of fun. If this episode sparks something for you, please share it with a friend or colleague, and we will see you all next time. Take it easy.
Thanks.
We really hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe to join us on our next journey through the world of art and business on the Pixel Retentive Podcast.